We ready?
Yep.
All right. All right, call our meeting November 9th to order. Please join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everybody. Today is Monday, November 9th. This is our regular commissioners meeting. And I will open this meeting with public comment. Public comment.
I'm going home. I'd like to know why we have to have an appointment to pay our taxes. I thought this was America, not China. What is the problem here? We gotta call and get an appointment to pay our taxes? For crying out loud, they can send me a paid receipt. I'm not giving them no money.
Okay, any other public comment? Okay. We're requiring appointments because we don't want people collecting in the building. That's the main reason for the appointments. And I don't think it's too much to ask to do that until we can get our COVID cases on the decline. Okay, we'll move on. I have the minutes from October 21st.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second that motion.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the minutes from October 21st. Is there any public discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. Have some mail to read. I have a letter from DEQ. It's a public notice, a general permit for produced water, and it's covering the oil and natural gas production facilities around the state. It'll be in file on our office. We have payroll in the amount of $195,855.74.
I'll make the motion to pay payroll in the said amount.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to pay payroll amount of $195,855.74. Is there any public discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. We have claims in the amount of $127,142.04.
I'll make a motion to approve claims.
I am going to recuse myself.
Okay. I will second that. Motion has been made and seconded to approve claims in the amount of $127,142.04. Any public discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have some receipts. Received a check from JSJ for manages the Silos Campgrounds for $327.70. And we received a check from the Bill Flanner Restitution, $38.63. We also received the third quarter from MVAC, the third quarter's sheets for their balance sheet, profit and loss, loan activity, accrued interest, and their aging report. And that will be on file in the Commissioner's office for anyone that's interested. And also a magazine from rural Montana, if anyone is interested. Okay, I guess with that, we will, oh, I guess I called Teresa this morning. We have 32 active cases this morning. So that's better than 86. So it's good to see that that coming down, and hopefully that will continue. So thanks to everybody out there working hard to protect yourselves and those around you. I guess with that, we'll go ahead and move on to our department update. Debbie Kelly.
So I ran a quick report, see where we're at. 4 months into the new fiscal year, we should be at a 33% spending or less if possible. But that's a give or take depending on a one-time purchase, such as, let's see, which one was it? I haven't done the journal for Conkey terminating, so his civil defense DES budget shows at 43%, but I haven't replaced that, his payouts from my employee benefits yet. I got it started, but I keep getting interrupted. But everybody else is pretty much at or below 33%. We don't have any revenues yet, so I can't say how we're doing for our revenues. Cash is looking pretty good. There are a couple in the negative, but until we get our revenues, that's to be expected. There really wasn't anything significant. There will be some budget amendments I need to do. There's several line items where people didn't budget money or we didn't know we needed to, and it's coming in unexpectedly. An expenditure, Homeland Security, for example, is one. We weren't expecting to have to spend something on that grant, so that I'll have to do a budget amendment for that. Mosquito shows over, but it's a seasonal thing, and that will diminish as the season progresses. They're at 39%.
So Deb, will some of these possibly go away once we get our revenues?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, some of these will go away. Or if they didn't budget a line item as 0, I have to do a budget amendment to give it spending authority. And usually the first ones we take away from another line to give that line item spending, so it doesn't change their overall balance. It just shuffles it from one object to another.
Right.
It's usually the end of the year ones I have to watch. Unexpected revenue to cover the unexpected expenditure.
Sure.
Types of things.
Okay.
So far, there's really not too many of those. There's a couple I need to look at because I'm not sure they were charged to the right fund, which puts them over. Juvenile transport, we didn't budget anything because we didn't know we'd need any juveniles. So right now we're in the hole, $33,000 for that one. So we'll have to kind of keep an eye on that. And
That's always
as the
a
year
tough
goes,
one because we never know
no.
what to expect in that, and so we'll work that out.
Yeah. And one year we have none, and the next year we have 2.
Yeah.
So we just kind of play that one by ear. A couple of these are some of our finally getting our master plans and our growth policies all such situated. So there's expenditures to those. I have to make sure charged out accordingly. And there really wasn't any thing jumping out other than PILT, but that's all the transfers. So we knew that was coming. We've spent half of what your balance was, but that's with all the approved budget changes. So knock on wood, that one's looking pretty good so far too. Because once those are done, there's there's really not much left to spend. And I don't really think there was too much else that jumped out that we have to be concerned with at this point.
Okay, so overall, at this point in the year, our percentages are looking pretty good for.
Yes, so far.
For everybody, okay.
Especially given the extra that we think we're having to spend on COVID and things to cover up our bodies and our faces. It's, I think we're doing okay. Considering we weren't planning for it.
Well, I want to commend you and Michelle for all the hard work you've been doing and keeping us, I guess, in line with our reimbursements, and because that is going to come back and help us quite a bit. Like I think at this point we don't know what all of those total costs are going to be yet, and it's going to be good to have that there to settle those. So so thank you. You guys for that.
That reporting system is not as easy. It's kind of like the audits. It's a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
But it's necessary because that documentation is what gets us what we need. So just a lot of work gathering the data and filling out the forms. So Michelle's taken on that task and done a lot with it. So kept me free to keep up with the audits and year-end closing and budget and payroll and make sure
Right. And
that all goes okay.
Good, and we've had some good grants that have come our way that have helped us with that as well. So, all right, very good. Mike, do you have any questions?
I just thank you guys for all your hard work and doing everything, managing under the situation we're under. I know it's not easy, but thank you guys for doing that.
No, it's not, but I guess that's what those other duties as assigned are called for, right? So,
I think we've all experienced those, haven't
yes, we have.
Laura, did you have anything?
No, I've watched Debbie and Michelle work for years, and Harold Blatty said years ago, trust Debbie, she knows what she's doing, and that's been proven right time and time and time again. So good work, Debbie, to both you and Michelle. You guys do phenomenal work, and we're in a good place because of it.
We do our best.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Debbie. All right, we'll move on to Sheriff Wynn Meehan.
I'm going to take this off so people can actually hear me. We're 6 feet apart, so even under governor's thing. They have quite a bit. And if I miss something, I'll have Brandon jump in. Good morning. Thanks actually for letting me have the time to talk today.
Yep.
First off, we have some staffing people out, and I think we've talked about it before, but my secretary's administrative assistant, Tammy, is out. She'll be out for Lord knows how long. She's battling a lot of medical stuff, and so we wish her the best. Sergeant Kynette, still recovering nicely from what I understand. Hopefully he will return sometime after the first of the year, is when he's projected. And also Deputy Sheriff Michelle Frost is enjoying being a new mother. So
good.
she had a baby, what, the fifth? Is it fifth?
October, no, Halloween.
On Halloween. So she's enjoying, she won't return until the first of the year as well. So we got those three. Unfortunately, we still have positions open within the jail. There's 2 positions in the jail, one in dispatch I'm aware of. Really struggling to get qualified applicants to fill those, but that was one of the things. The other thing I want to talk about is I hope that having Deputy Mike Lewis at the election has worked out well. I think it worked well having the courthouse the Monday before. I hopefully curb things. People all stopped me all over the place and said, is it really that bad that we have to have a cop? Absolutely. People have lost their mind. And we forgot what common courtesy and decency was about, as far as I can tell. And I think that having Mike there curbed some issues that were coming up.
It really did help. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Our jail, we've done well. And part of our plan when we went to the public for the mill levy was to utilize the detention center as much as possible. And hopefully get some things on track in a quicker time to ultimately be able to focus on reducing the amount of requested meals as we move forward in that 5-meal levy. And so currently we have 39 inmates in that facility. We were up at 42, 43. 10 of them are ours, and the other ones are paying customers. So with those being in there, that helps us to, one, get those cash reserves where we need to be, and then if we're short anything else, obviously it helps out as well. But we've done fairly well, I think, throughout the fiscal year so far, and we're probably, if I had to take a guess, we're getting close to the halfway point of what our expected revenue for the jail was. And we're only, 3 months into it. So the staff has worked hard and keeping that going and keeping things awry. I will tell you, I made a bad decision and accepted an inmate from DOC that part of our thing is if you come in, you have to get tested first and you go into holding cell. Well, unfortunately, that individual came into jail that I authorized and it came up positive for COVID. So they were removed from the jail. All of our staff was tested and that had contact with them. They were all negative. So bad decision on my part. Luckily, it worked out well. And we had some interesting discussions. So for the most part, that staff, the staff of the jail and the detention center and dispatch have done a very good job in keeping the COVID issues out of our facility. Now, if the sheriff would just learn to do the same, we would probably be a little better off. The other thing I want to talk about, we always talk about numbers and how busy we've been, and even with the COVID and lockdowns and restrictions in businesses and everything else, this morning before I left, we are at the time 18,275 calls for service. Things have not slowed down. They've gotten busier in the aspect of, one, domestic violence and things of that nature. So property crime has really been up for some reason. A lot of people breaking into cars. We've seen it all over the city. Not so much in the county, but in the city it's been really bad this year. A lot of people, we've caught a couple of them, some fine folks out of Lewis and Clark County decided to come down and start pilfering through cars and everything else. And I know we had a vehicle stolen, still trying to get that recovered. We've had a lot of trailers, stuff stolen. Captain Rouser worked a good case. He did a good job on a trailer theft out of the southern part of the county. I believe that trailer was located last week in Missouri with the help of South Dakota DCI and the folks down in Missouri. So lots of things going on there. One of the issues I want to bring up that I think we need to address sooner than later is at midnight on Saturday night, my dispatch lost their phones and their internet, which means they lost their CJIN, the Criminal Justice Information Network. That got transferred over to the Highway Patrol, and they could not conduct business. They couldn't even get in the records management system. So Blackfoot, as being as wonderful as everybody thought it was, isn't when it comes to public safety. So my staff could not do their jobs for the better part of 16 or 17 hours yesterday because there was no internet or phones. So I would like to have a serious conversation about putting that back to a hard line and not through point-to-point or wireless. It is impossible for cops and dispatch to do things when there's no computer system to work in. So they can't log those phone calls, they can't log those 911 calls that come in, they can't log the medical, they can't log anything without having secure and functional internet and phone systems. So that came to light this weekend. I know we've had some issues in the past, but we need to get that fixed. On the bright side, I think I talked about earlier, the point I might during public comment, that Luna, our one canine, is that it works with Mark Wood, is getting older. She's lost her vision. Her smell is great. Her vision's not so good. So Brandon, the undersheriff, has asked me to bring up at the drug task force meeting if they would fund a new canine, and they did. So sometime here, start next year, Deputy Wood will go out to Pennsylvania, work with the dogs, figure out which one he wants, and then A few weeks later, he'll go back. He'll have to travel back in his patrol vehicle, pick that dog up, work with him for two weeks, Brian? 2 weeks, and then travel back. So the dog itself is paid for. I think it was 13 grand or a little over 13 grand. So that's a good thing.
Okay, good.
Obviously, we're not going to train for marijuana because there's no point. So we're going to bypass that one. The other issue that we just had a discussion about prior to coming over here is a BOR contract. We've had some issues in the past with the BOR contract. I'm not real happy with it. I don't think the undersheriff's very happy with it either. They asked us this morning, they need to know today if we wanted to continue that contract. We are going to continue the contract with the idea or philosophy that we're going to sit down and have a meeting about it. One of the things that's very tough is that if we, like in the past when Mike Lewis was our BOR guy, that was to pay his position. Well, unfortunately, being 3 people in training, which I'll talk about in a minute, we had to pull people out to take calls. If they come out of that BOR to take calls, they didn't get reimbursed for that. So that become more of a financial burden upon the public safety budget. When Deputy Kostelecki semi-retired, resigned to go to work in Columbus, Deputy Lewis asked to take that patrol position. And obviously I gave that to him. So currently no one's working the BOR, but hopefully we can have somebody there in the future just under something that works a little bit better for Broadwater County, not under the same caveat of what works best in Lewis and Clark. So that's coming up at some point. Talk about the trainees. Deputy Matthews, she started in August. She's coming close to being at the end of her field training program. 16 weeks. At some point she'll be going to the academy, but I think she's doing quite well. Justin Walker, he has just finished his second phase of his 16-week program. He's doing very well as well. And Bryson Rowe is getting very close, if not completing the end of, I think he did complete the end of phase 1 and he's in phase 2 now. So he's going to be in training for a little bit longer. But those are going along very nicely. It's tough to have 3 people in training at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of work when it's 1, and then 3 just gives you gray hair and a bad attitude. And yeah, that's me. So,
So are there some slots that are opening up then at the academy?
not really. Unfortunately, it seems like they've kind of limited it a little bit to accompany the social distancing and everything else. And so I don't think you're seeing classes, and I might be wrong. It sounds like, just from what I've been hearing, is that the classes are a little bit smaller than what they used to be. And there's really no avenue, I think right now, for them to put more in, because they just don't have enough instructors and everything else. So I think we're kind of I know we had some that were scheduled for law enforcement basic until January of 22, which is a really long time to be stretched out there. The other one I want to keep this in the forefront of everything is our union contract and our union negotiations. And I think I discussed prior to this that I did have a discussion with Aaron Foley that I wanted to have these negotiations start at a much earlier time. So I'm hoping for January at 21, we can actually sit down and start having those conversations, get those things in place well before the time that our preliminary budget needs to be set and brought forward to the commission. I know the undersheriff has some things that he would like to change, alter, or get rid of, as well as I do. I think with the changing of times, there needs to be a little more flexibility in what we do and what we see. And I guess the last, if you guys have any questions, is search and rescue. We haven't had a lot of issues with hunting, fishing, or trapping, or just recreation. Unfortunately, during the last big snowstorm, search and rescue was out quite well most of the night on Friday and all day Saturday, dealing with people that are stranded in the county roads. And I did have a conversation with you, Commissioner Folkford, about that. One, that's not something that I budget for. Number two, it takes away the ability to have volunteers to come out, especially on opening day of hunting season. If we would have lost a hunter or hunters, I wouldn't have had anybody that was able or fit to proceed to go and do a rescue of a lost hunter in the mountains, because they've been utilized throughout the evening and day getting people out of county roads. So I know at some point, I know there's lots of things there, and I did have a discussion with the road supervisor, or the public works director, in regards to that. I understand how things were. I understand how things have always been, but with the increase in population and folks moving in here and not using probably some of the best judgment when they can't see over the snow, don't drive through it, would be a good philosophy to start with, but you can't teach that, I guess. But we need to come up with a happier solution other than that. So I don't know if I've missed anything. Did I miss anything, Brad? I covered all. The undersheriff's saying I did good. So if you have, have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. If not, I will put myself back in that chair with my mask on my face.
I think I answered all the questions I had as we went along there. Mike, did you have anything?
No, I don't have anything.
Laura, do you have any questions?
Nope.
All right, very good.
Thank
Thank you, Wynn. Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you, Wynn.
Let's see. Okay, so we'll move on to our discussion of the Silos Recreation Area request for qualifications. All right, Laura, so you sent us the updates of everything that we discussed last week. I'll go ahead and let you take it from here.
Okay, thanks. I think the first thing for the public to for us to clarify is we are talking about a management contract, an agreement, not a concessionaire agreement. This was touched on a little bit, but I wanted to make clear a concessionaire agreement is what BLR has with Goose Bay, Kim's, Yacht Basin. They sent us some contracts as examples. Those are 20-year contracts, and a concessionaire has an ownership right to the facility that they're managing, which means once the contract is signed, that concessionaire has complete determination on the vision and what gets done with that facility. A concessionaire generally pays between 2 and 3%, sometimes as high as 5% to BOR, not to the county. It would go to BOR. So with the management agreement, the manager is hired by contract by the commission. The percentage paid starts at 10% and can go up from there. It certainly could go lower, but ours is currently at 10, and I wouldn't imagine we'd go lower. But that would be part of our negotiations, what that number lands on. They're also obligated to work with the commission on whatever it is that they want to do on the site, and as a managing partner with BOR, we also work with BOR, and that's by extension. So the biggest area that this would affect Broadwater County is with the Silos Master Plan. Approximately $115,000 has been invested in the master plan. There's been 2 of them, an initial to solicit comment from the public on what they'd like to see of the Silos Recreation Area, and then the engineering portion that allows us to go out for grants in order to implement pieces of that plan over the years. One thing BOR brought to our attention in a couple of meetings last year was that because we are a partner, because Broadwater County is a managing partner with BOR, there's a lot of grants that are open to us, either one of us, for implementation of the Silos Master Plan that would not be available to us if we severed our agreement or BOR was doing this on their own with a concessionaire. The other thing to realize is the concessionaire would not be required to implement that silos master plan because they have the property ownership. A manager, however, would work every step with the commission so the commission could ensure that the silos master plan was implemented. So those are the big differences between a concessionaire and manager plan. The other thing I just want to clarify is the BOR contract for law enforcement services, that is not connected with what we're talking about here. That is a relationship between BOR and the sheriff. So just to make sure we don't get confused. So what we talked about on Thursday is what we started off working with was a request for qualifications and a request for proposal for management services at the Silos Recreation Area. Who we engaged as experts was Great West Engineering. They have a recreation department, and they sent back our proposal with a number of edits that we reviewed on Thursday. We also had Al Christofferson on the phone, and he has worked with a number of federal grants and also has a interest, along with the Citizens Advisory Group from the silos, of what happens in their neighborhood with the silos. So he represented that group on the phone as we went through the RFQ and RFP. The first thing we decided, or was decided on Thursday, although it has not come to a vote, but it is where we're headed now, is to not include the request for proposal at this time, to strictly send out a request for qualifications. So what we started with is we are looking currently at a 2-year contract with 5-year option to be extended annually up to 5 years. The liability and insurance that is required of $1 million will be reviewed annually. If that number needs to be increased due to outside forces or a recommendation that those with contracts be increased, then that's what we would do as well. We came up with 6 different areas that we would like applicants to address in detail. And the first one, I'm going to read these so that I get them verbatim. The first one is, please provide details of your qualifications to manage the Silos Recreation Area, recreation, campground, and related facility management experience, with specific focus on water use, shoreline facilities, and dock and boat launches. 2 is grant writing experience and success in obtaining grants, including administering and reporting on grants. 3, experience building consensus and partnerships. 4, reporting experience, strong written and oral communication skills should be added, with specific focus on annual reports to commissioners for financials, incident reports, silos master plan. And finally, problem-solving skills. The last paragraph, as was suggested, this was partly what we put in, and then Great West added some language. Commissioners will engage in a public process to analyze proposals, interview, and for contract negotiations. Qualified partners will be ranked by a selection committee. County will review each proposal and reserves the right to accept or request any other proposals, wholly or in part, in a manner deemed in the best interest of the county and her recreating public. And one of the final thoughts with this is when we get the request for proposal back, and as we are updating the contract at the same time, neither one will be final. What we will do is bring the 2 together and jointly come up with a contract that is mutually beneficial. So, Ellen, I think as far as the overview, Daryl and Mike, did I forget anything?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, no, that all looks good, and I'm glad that you put a grading system in there as how we're going to evaluate each of those 6 areas of qualifications that we're going to look at. So I think it looks good.
So the grading system was a suggestion from Great West Engineering, but we have that on the front end, not during the process or before evaluating the submittals. How do you guys feel about those numbers? Are you good with those?
Yeah, I'm good with them. And, you know, we did this same process when we did the on-call engineering, and it worked really well.
Yeah, I'm good with them.
Okay. Anything else you guys want to add or subtract or change other than missing the word skills?
Yep. No, that looks good, and I think the other stuff that we talked about was related to the RFP portion of it, so I'm good with the RFQ proposal.
I'm good with it.
Okay, then what we should do is put it on the agenda for next week
Okay.
and get it out and go from there.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
Sounds really good. One thing that I guess I want to bring up, and this is something that Al Christofferson kind of counseled us on for us to start thinking about as we proceed in this process, is the someone that is going to manage this contract. He called it a contract operations representative, and we do need to be thinking about how we want to do that. I think that's important to the success of this contract and relationship that as we go forward.
I think we can maybe talk about that some more in maybe a working meeting this next week to continue with our work on the contract. But I would suggest that be the commissioners.
Yeah.
We are where the buck stops. I think, you know, the fact that we have one commissioner liaise with each of our boards is a good model to follow. This is in District 1. The commissioner from District 1 should continue to be the liaise with the SRA manager and continue to bring reports back to the commission. But as far as managing a contract, that should be with the commission solely. That's not something we should be giving to anybody else. Giving to anyone else, excuse me.
All right. We'll talk about that. I just wanted to bring it up so that we're all thinking about it. All right. Do you want to vote on going forward with this?
Mr. Chairman, we can't. The agenda says that this is discussion.
Right.
Because we are delineating discussions from decisions, last week it said decision, we do have to have the decision on the agenda,
Okay.
because what we've informed the public is we will only be discussing this particular subject.
Okay.
So we need to put it on the agenda for next week with the word decision so that we can move forward in full view of the public.
Very good. That's what we'll do. Okay. Is there anything else? Mike, do you have anything?
Yeah, I got a couple of things. Number one, I'd like to thank all of our elections officials who worked tirelessly, and I think they did an excellent job with what they were handed. I hear some people complaining because they only had one polling place. Well, some people need to step up and become election judges. Those people work pretty tirelessly till like 4:30 in the morning or something. I'd just like to say thank you to those people, and also Bob Chamberlain has sold his grocery store in town, and I'd like to give a huge thank out to Bob for all the stuff that he did behind doors for the community. He was very supportive of everything that went on in the county. And the other thing, I'd like to congratulate all of our high school fall sports teams. They all went into the playoffs. The girls cross country won the state championship, and the boys were beaten in the round of 8 for the football final. So congratulations to those kids, and thank you for adhering to all the rules that you had to while you were participating in those sports. That's all I got.
All right. Good. Thank you, Mike. I guess I'd like to echo the same. I know our elections officials, some of them took a lot of abuse. There's actually some of our election judges that quit because of that abuse, because of some of our public's behavior. I apologize to them for that. I'm grateful for our sheriff's office in providing might to ensure that that stopped. Anyway, Doug and his staff, they did a wonderful job with the conditions they had to work with. I'd also like to wish a happy Veterans Day to all of our veterans and those who are currently serving. Thank you for your service. Laura, did you have anything?
I do. I'd like to say ditto to everything you guys brought up. And I'm not going to repeat what you've already said. What you've said is brilliant, both of you. So thank you. I also want the public to know that as much as we had a holiday on Tuesday, Doug's staff worked all day long until about 4 in the morning, and then they were back at it at 8. So they got 4 hours off that night. So I think we need to recognize their efforts as well. And then the election judges, the volunteers, they're golden. Absolutely. I have some bad news to share, and I think it's something that you guys need to put in your memory banks for the budget next year. We had a victims committee meeting with the Board of Crime Control this past week. VOCA is the Victims of Crime Act, and that is the money that funds our victim witness advocate for the county. In the way that money is funded at the federal level and then comes to the states and then it's divvied to different counties or agencies, is corporations that do something wrong and are fined. That's the money that funds VOCA. There were a lot of fines in 2008. There was additional money for Marcy's Law when that looked like it was going to be an issue. And then during the last administration, there were very few, if not zero, fines levied against corporations. So that fund has been drying up. So we had a decrease in VOCA 2 years ago, a significant increase. I don't remember the percentage. We had a decrease last year. And to keep programs going, more was taken out of the reserves. So what we're looking at is less reserves for this coming budget, for the budget you guys will start in March, April, May. And you're looking at a 22% further decrease in VOCA funding. So it is entirely possible that you will be needing to find money in the general fund in order to fund much of the victim witness advocate position. So just a heads up, put that in your memory banks, and fair warning. The other thing I'd like to request is that we have a meeting regarding the airport issue that arose this week, and following up on Mike Ferguson's emails, and a working meeting on the silos for the contract. I think we need to continue working on that. So, do you guys have any questions on VOCA? And VAL is the other one, Violence Against Women's Act. But it's mostly VOCA that pays for the victim witness advocate. Any questions?
No, I don't. Thanks, Laura, for updating us on that. So you'd like to have a working meeting for the Silos Recreation Area and the airport for next week?
No, I think we need to continue our working meetings on the contract. I don't think we should let that languish. Mm-hmm. I would like to have the airport issue on the agenda so that we can determine how to work with our airport board and our citizens on that one.
Okay.
And perhaps Blackfoot from taking off of Lynn's presentation.
Okay. Okay. Anything else? Anybody?
I don't have anything else.
Everybody good? All right, we'll go ahead and adjourn at 10:46. Thank you, everybody, for coming this morning.